What's up, YouTubers? It's Ernie, Blerd Without Fear. Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to apologize ahead of time for this video because it's going to throw a lot of my original plans for covering Flash on this channel way out of whack. But I just had to bring you this video. It's too good to hold back. We are going to be talking about Flash War, a story arc that technically started back in the Flash Annual #1 earlier this year and has roots that date all the way back to when Wally West was the one and only fastest man alive. Someone is gunning for Wally West, and they've cemented themselves in the future as a temporal judge in the 25th century with one goal alone: make Wally West the one true Flash that not only the world today needs, but the future as well. And his name is Hunter Zolomon, Zoom, the second Reverse Flash. Technically the third, but whatever. Before we get too deep into that, if this is your first time checking out my channel and you want to see more awesome videos like this one, it only takes 2 clicks to become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers. Click, click. When Flash War kicks off, we're treated to a scene where Wally West and Barry Allen are clearly at odds with each other, but we don't really know why yet. Wally wants to go back in time and fix something, and whatever it is, he's willing to hurt Barry to accomplish it, even going as far as saying Barry will never run again. So what got us to this point? For those that don't know, Wally West was trapped in the Speed Force for the last 10 plus years, explaining his absence during the New 52. With Wally back, everything is back to normal, only not. The people closest to Wally don't remember him. The Titans remember him now after almost getting into a knockdown dragout with him. The Flash remembers him after Wally nearly vanished into the Speed Force forever, and he even managed to get an old frenemy, Magenta, to remember him, even though it didn't go exactly how he would have hoped. So what's the big deal, you may be asking? The problem is that the 2 people he loves more than anyone else on Earth didn't remember him. No matter how hard he tried, Linda Park, once his girlfriend and later his wife, has no clue who he is, and despite them trying to learn to know each other again, it didn't really pan out. It even soured him on the idea of trying to get to know his own aunt, Iris West, who also didn't remember him. But wouldn't you know it, Wally finally manned up and faced Iris West and revealed who he was to her, and boom, she remembered him. And they lived happily ever after. Except they didn't. Something happened to Wally. He begins remembering everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. The accident that made him Kid Flash, his wedding to Linda Park, meeting Impulse for the first time, his time as a Teen Titan, all of it. These are memories he's always had, technically, but now they're bleeding into reality, to the point that he begins seeing things from his memories in the real world, even though they're not truly there, like the Flash Museum, which existed in the pre-New 52 timeline, but doesn't become a thing in post-New 52 until much later in the future. He even sees various versions of Cyborg as he stands before him, the classic Teen Titan Cyborg with the leggings, Golden Cyborg, both of which no longer exist thanks to the New 52. Even when Flash takes Wally to every expert he can imagine, Zatanna, Martian Manhunter, Jessica Cruz, none of them can figure out what's up with him. This is a phenomenon we later discover to be temporal seizures, the result of changes made to the timeline as a result of time travel. To make matters worse, it's making him incredibly irritable, to the point he is lashing out at both Iris and Barry, who only want to help him. He eventually gets one last shocker of a temporal seizure, seeing his time as a member of the Grant Morrison era Justice League, complete with Martian Manhunter, Kyle Rayner, and Aquabeard. Timelines once forgotten and ceased to exist are still flooding back into Wally's mind. This has everything to do with Hunter Zolomon, the Reverse Flash, known as Zoom, a man who was once Wally's closest friend and ally. To understand why Zoom has such a hard-on for Wally is paramount here. But it's also really simple. Hunter Zolomon was once a criminal profiler, and he was damn good at it, but his life was overrun by tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. His father, a serial killer, murdered several young girls and his own mother when he was a teenager. He inadvertently caused the death of his wife's father, a man who became his mentor, when he underestimated the clown. His wife left him as a result, and he was later fired from the FBI. One of his legs was crippled, and then eventually he was paralyzed from the waist down during an attack by Gorilla Grodd. Not the best life. The one bright spot he had left in his life was that he was best friends with the Flash, who at the time was Wally West. And they did everything together. They worked cases together, they caught criminals together. It was great. But as always, there was a problem. Hunter asked the Flash to use the cosmic treadmill to travel back in time and fix all the tragedies that caused him to be where he is today. And the Flash refused, because even though Wally was still technically new to being a proper Flash, he knew the risk of time travel. Hunter wasn't okay with this and decided to use the cosmic treadmill himself, and this caused an explosion that essentially healed Hunter Zolomon of his paralysis and granted him the ability to alter time, giving him access to time travel and also the ability to give the appearance of moving at super speed, not to be confused with using the Speed Force like Eobard Thawne does. So when Hunter Zolomon moves at super speed, he's actually not. He's really just altering time to make himself look as though he's as fast as he is. Hunter's key mission in life since becoming Zoom was always to make Wally a better Flash. In his own mind, he thinks he's a good guy. He knows he's right, and he will do anything, even committing acts of malice and terrorism, to make the Flash the hero he feels he should be. Kind of reminds you of villains like Hero Killer Stain from My Hero Academia. Maybe Zoom was his inspiration. Anyways, neither here nor there. Zoom still has the same mission statement, and what drove him to pursue it even further was when Eobard Thawne breaks Hunter out of Iron Heights during the Forgotten Timeline, forging an alliance to take both Wally and Barry down. But Thawne doesn't agree with Hunter's way of thinking and has no patience for Zoom's plan. He goes back to the 21st century the moment that he's killed by Iris West, and when Zoom witnesses this death, he changes his mind about the Flashes. He realizes then that the only way to make them better, the only way to elevate Wally to a god-tier Flash, is make all the Flashes go to war. He sends the Renegades, the rogues of the future, turn to fighting for justice in the name of the Temporal Court after Iris West. A seemingly innocuous move at first, considering that she would be wanted by the Temporal Courts for killing Eobard Thawne in the 25th century anyway. But there's a method behind this. The Renegades fight it out with Barry, Wally, and Wallace. Even the rogues of the 25th century are no match for the Flashes of the 21st, except for Golden Glider, now known as Golden Guardian, a woman powered by the yellow Sinestro core ring, and capable of using it to bring out the Flash's worst nightmares. Yellow constructs in the form of each Flash's own Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne, Hunter Zolomon, and even Daniel West from the New 52. The only thing that stops the fight is Wally having another temporal seizure, and Commander Cole deciding to cut a deal. They take Iris into custody, and Wally gets help. It sounds like a raw deal at first, but the Flash family and the Renegades return together to the temporal courts of the 25th century. Except when they get there, Wally isn't with them anymore. He's been transported to the Flash Museum. Wally sees the faces of every Flash who came before and after him: Impulse, Max Mercury, Jesse Quick, and a voice calls out to Wally telling him that they're trapped in the Speed Force the same way that Wally was. And then we see images of the time Wally and Linda had children, twins, Jai West and Iris West II, the second iteration of the Tornado Twins. And Hunter makes it plain: these people are your family, and the only way they can be saved is by us working together and destroying the Speed Force. Hunter knows that to save Wally's family, Wally will have to time travel, The very thing Barry is trying to stop him from doing in the beginning of this book. The same thing that will drive Wally down the same dark path that consumed Hunter Zolomon and made him a monster. Inevitably, this is going to lead to Barry and Wally fighting for the fate of Wally's past, present, and future, as well as all of time itself. And once Zooms accomplish this, only one Flash will remain. Now, I don't really know if that is really going to pan out, if that will actually be a thing, but that is kind of a big deal considering that you gotta remember that most comic book readers, alive today didn't grow up with Barry Allen as the Flash. Barry Allen stopped being the Flash back in the early 80s. Wally West was the Flash of the mid 80s and the 90s. So for most people, he's probably your Flash, whether you realize it or not. And the fact that there is a potential chance for Wally West to become the one true Flash again is kind of a big deal, considering that when they brought him back at the beginning of DC Rebirth, that's what a lot of people were curious as to whether or not it was going to actually happen. And now, we may actually get that. But in order to do that, does Barry have to die? Who knows? But I'm really curious to see how this all pans out. The good news about this story arc is that it's fairly self-contained. There are no tie-in books for this. This is literally just going to be run through the Flash's normal publication, so this will actually run from the Flash number 46 to the Flash number 51. You will probably want to have read Flash Volume 4, Running Scared, which is basically Flash number 23 through 27. I kind of touched on a couple of beats from that, the main one being the death of Eobard Thawne. But either way, neither here nor there. That's really not the big deal about this, because even though Eobard Thawne dies, he always comes back because Eobard Thawne's a son of a bitch that way. But anyways, let me know what you think about Flash War. Sound off in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, Superman punch that like button. And if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure you click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers and tap that bell so you know when I post up. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and hopefully I'll see you all next time. Plus Ultra!